That's always confusing, conflicting times.
Oh, yeah. I just look at this.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, good morning. This meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors now called to order. And Clerk, are there any additions to the agenda?
No, there is not.
Okay, County Council, can you read closed session into the agenda, please?
Yes, Chairman, there are 3 items for your closed session today. The first is Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with your labor negotiator, Director Alba Gomez. The employee organization is all units. There's a performance evaluation under Government Code Section 54957 for your Director of Department of Water and Natural Resources. And the decision whether to initiate litigation, just one case under Government Code Section 54956.9. You have conference with your legal counsel under Subdivision D, Paragraph 4 of that section. Thank you.
Okay, are there any comments from the public on this closed session items? Hearing none, none by email? Okay, thank you. With that, we'll go and retire to closed session. Yep. All right, good. Okay, we have returned from closed session. County Council, is there anything to report from closed session?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from today's closed session.
Okay. With that, we'll open and close in memory of. Are there any?
I
Go
have
ahead,
one,
Brett.
Chairman. Thank you. This past week, I got a text from one of my best friends that his mother, Susan Molina, passed away. She worked at the city for over 25 years. She was like a second mother to me. Always had a smile, always a hug for me, always knew everything about what was going on with my family. Susan Molina. Thank you.
Brett. Our sympathy is with you. Wow. We all have people like that in our lives that mean so much to us. And it's certainly important to remember their contribution, memorialize them in the best way. Anguish this week. Anyone else? If not, we have the clergy present, and I don't have a name, so I can't. Yeah, you know what? I see it here now on my cheat sheet. Yeah, Pastor Mark Farmer from 4th Street Church of God, and have him come forward and do the invocation. And I'll ask Gary Sponda if he'll do the flag salute this morning after following that.
Pastor Farmer also serves as a chaplain of Madera Police Department.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Certainly.
I couldn't tell who he was under that mask.
I know, isn't that awesome?
I recognized the eyes, but I wasn't quite sure.
Father, we're grateful to be in this place this day once again. Lord, you're so good to us. Bless us with so many things that we don't deserve. Even the very air we breathe, you've blessed us with. We thank you for that. Thank you for all that you do for us. And Lord, I pray for these leaders that have gathered in this room today that you would grant them wisdom and insight into the issues that they need to deal with today. Guide and direct each step and every discussion. And may your name be glorified through it all, Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Pastor Mike. Public comment.
First 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matters under jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on the items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak under public comment? Seeing none, we have
We have Madeline Harris.
Yes. We have one on WebEx and Madeline. Here. Madeline,
Hi, good morning.
morning. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Good morning, supervisors. This is Madeline Harris from Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. I wanted to address you this morning regarding Lavinia's mobility study. I spoke with Matt Treber this morning, and I understand that the reason why the county was not able to apply for the ATP grant on Lavinia's behalf during this cycle was due to a change in guidelines that presented some obstacles. And so obviously folks in Lavinia are disappointed that the county was not able to apply for any funding. And we were also disappointed that the county wasn't able to apply for the STEP pilot program. But if that funding is available in the future, we will of course continue advocating to CARB, who launched that pilot program for STEP, to increase Lavinia's competitiveness in that program in the future. And with regards to the ATP program, please let us know how we can continue working with you to ensure that the next opportunity doesn't pass us by, and to ensure that the county, will be prepared with any additional guideline changes that they may make in the future. We will, of course, continue our state advocacy regarding programs like these to make sure that there are better set-asides for small, disadvantaged, and rural communities, and guidelines that can continue helping smaller counties to be more competitive, because we definitely understand the challenge that a lot of smaller jurisdictions face in these programs. So again, please let us know whatever we can do to work with you. Let us know what advocacy plans you have for the state regarding these programs, so that we can work with you on that as well, so that we can, make sure that opportunities don't pass us by, and we can get that mobility study implemented in Lavinia. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Madeline. Thanks for your comment.
Thank you, Madeline.
Okay. Any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to consent calendar. Are there any questions concerning the consent calendar? Tom, go
I
ahead.
got a couple.
Go ahead.
H, I, K, and M. On item H, maybe Matt can explain to me. I mean, that seemed like a big bunch, jump, $600,000. I looking at last night, I circled a couple of things that said they needed an additional plat maps, legal descriptions, the completed the contract amendments, stuff like that. I mean, this a big jump, $600,000.
Yes, thank you Supervisor Wheeler. Matt Treber, Chief of Development Services. It is, this was certainly a lengthy process to get the Oakhurst Midtown, and I don't need to tell you that. We certainly have come a long way in our relationship with other state agencies out there. A lot of this increased cost was based on changes throughout the life of this project, instigated by our partnering state agency out there on that facility.
And stuff.
Yes, and there was some, design amendments that occurred as part of the acquisition of that property. So it is a significant increase there, just shy of 600,000. You are correct there, but it is appropriate. It does fall into it is certainly a large contracted amount. So this is the final aspect of the Oakhurst Midtown. Was getting the engineer of record compensated for those changes over the life of this project.
And they actually had a note in there that they were thank us for letting them go ahead and do it without to pay until we approved it. So I thought that was decent of it. So,
yeah.
So you guys kept on top of it. And when do you think they will start digging dirt?
I don't want to steal any Jared's thunder because he did all the heavy lifting on this.
Okay.
One. So I'll go ahead and let Jared talk about the fun.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared Carter, Public Works. We actually are scheduled to have a pre-construction meeting this week, and I believe the contractor is hoping to move in next week and actually start. So preliminary activities will be
That's all I can say.
minimal, but as they get going on stuff, you'll see a lot more action on there. Most of it will be focused on the bridge portion of it to begin with.
They're going to start that first, the bridge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got the bridge subcontractor already on schedule for early November.
And are we going to replace that bridge on School Road?
Yes, that is another project that's coming.
Yeah. Somebody was saying that they were worrying about if we start this project and they do that, would they block that road off?
There's the relation.
We're aware of that. We're scheduling them accordingly.
Okay, because, I mean, it goes with this because they were talking about this is going to mess up blocking that road off, and I don't, they got that school and a lot of people are up there.
Yeah, no,
I just wanted to people know it for clear, and I want it on public record that we will never block the road off completely.
Yeah, 427 bridge replacement it's slated for, I think, 2 years from now.
Oh, okay.
So we should be done with the Midtown connector before that project starts.
Oh, okay. I don't know where they got that idea. And while you're up
Facebook?
there. Huh?
Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. On you might as well stay up there that, I'm so happy you guys got that going. And then I heard there's a hiccup with PG&E, so, but we're going to go ahead and improve this. I really appreciate that. And go where we're using some of that, Major T tax dollars. So, tax dollars from the state too on that part of that, right?
Yes, those are both SB1 projects. And yeah, we are working with the contractor to coordinate the actual start of that work, but it will probably be delayed until next spring so we have the adequate weather to be able to do that correctly.
Right. And so that AB $1, and that's money, this is the project probably wouldn't be done with our regular dollars if we wouldn't have got that extra tax dollars, right?
That's correct. This is SB1 money that comes through that gas tax money to the county.
$5 or $7 million also is SB $1 too for the crosstown connection.
Yes, $5 million on the Oakhurst Midtown connector is SB1 competitive funds, and these projects under item I are SB1 local streets and road monies that come to the county.
Okay, perfect. We need to really advertise that, and I wish we could put a sign up there showing that too. So.
We have signs on all of our projects. You'll see a project sign with SB1 and Measure T logos on the Midtown connector and also these.
I think that's important. Item J on that well, is that the final dollars on that?
K.
K, I mean, I'm sorry, K.
J is
And J, that's,
Tax.
is that well that we drilled and didn't follow through with?
Good morning, Andrea Soldati with Public Works. Yes, sir, it is. It is for the purchase of the test well property finally.
Okay, and so that's what you settled with? That pretty good from what they were asking, right?
Yes, so the dollar amounts being moved are to move enough money to be able to purchase the land and also to finish paying Hamner Jewel for their services in the land acquisition.
Great, thank you. And then item M, I just wanted to ask, is this the final dollars? Is that signed, sealed, and delivered on that sewer system up at Oakers?
So this is the final dollar amount that the district will have to pay their portion into the project.
Yeah, and is this that 10% that we held back, or is this not paid that yet?
I do believe that this is part of the retention and one additional invoice.
Okay. Finally, thank you guys so much. That came in under price and 4 or 5 months ahead of schedule, so you guys did a great job. That's all I can say. That's it, man.
Okay, any more questions concerning the consent calendar?
Move to approve.
Any comments from the public?
Second.
Motion is made and second. Let's vote.
Supervisor Wheeler,
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
I wanted to really thank all of our staff and all those construction jobs that I just brought up, because we've been doing so much with those extra dollars that we got that we didn't have many years being on this board, and so nice to see that they jumped right on it, using that money and getting those jobs done so much quicker than budget than supposed to be.
Leveraging is an art, and you've done that very well.
Really well.
Done good on it. All right. We will move to item 6A.
Human Resource Department, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution providing senior accounting technician John Vargas with 5% additional pay for supplemental duties in the Auditor Controller's Department.
Good morning, members of the board. Alba Gomez with Human Resources. Yes, this resolution is asking for additional pay for John Vargas. He is going to be performing duties as a business analyst to assist the department with some processes that they're doing. And our auditor controller, Todd Miller, is here if you have any additional questions about the specific duties the individual is going to be performing.
So this would be the duties above and beyond his normal duties.
Yes,
I want to make that clear to the public.
yes.
And we didn't replace a person too. So this person has taken that person's job, so we're saved a lot of money compared to what
Correct.
this $200, whatever it is a month,
Yes.
the additional.
Additional
backup.
questions?
Move to approve.
Made
Second?
second. Let's vote. Oh, public comment, please. Public comment? Oh, bring it back to the board. Let's vote.
Supervisor Frazier,
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Motion to adopt passes 5-0.
Item 6B.
Social Services Department, Madera County Interagencies Children and Youth Services Council Annual Report 2019-2020, discussion and consideration of items 1 through 4 is listed on the agenda.
Morning, Mr. Childers. Turn your mic on. Be a green light or?
Good morning, members of the board. Chris Childers, your Chief Probation Officer. On behalf of the ICYC Council, I'm here to answer any questions. I don't know if Social Services is going to be here. Deborah signed. Staff are going to be here, but as the chair of that council, I'm here to answer any questions.
Questions for
No, it looked
very
good.
capable probation officer?
Chris does a great job as chair.
Yep.
Do we need a motion to adopt this report, or is it just
So moved.
motion is made?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any comment from the public on this item? Seeing none, bring it back to the board. Let's vote.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Portress?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Chairman Rogers?
Yes.
Motion to approve passes 5-0.
Sorry, Rob, I forgot
you.
I'm not on that anymore. That should have been your motion.
Thank
We'll
you.
fight after.
We have an amiable board, that's for sure. Item 6C.
Public Works Department Maintenance and Operation Division, introduction of an ordinance adding Chapter 10.36 to Title 10 and retitling Section 2.29.050 to Chapter 2.29 of Title 2 of Madera County Code to Section 10.36.010 of Chapter 10.36 to Chapter 10 relating to parking restrictions. Waive the first reading and set the second reading for November 10th, 2020.
In a way of informational, just before we kick this item in, we've had discussions at the agenda level where we're doing this that kind of made it a policy that any laws or changes in laws will be on public session.
Should be.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be. We wouldn't want to put
Thank
anything like that on the consent calendar. Okay.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Jared Carter of Public Works. Yes, this item is to amend the county code related to no parking zones. We've had some discussion on some of the other items previously brought to the board about having the ability to set fees for no parking zones. And so essentially what this does is a couple of things. It'll move the section that specifies what those no parking zones are from Section 2.29 in the code under the vehicle and traffic section, which is Title 10. And then it will also add a section that will give the board authorization to pass a resolution for setting a fine or fee for the no parking zones. So I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? Supervisor Wheeler.
Yeah, so on those dollar amounts for those fines and stuff, you'll bring that back to us after we pass this, after the first, second reading?
Correct. Once this is in place and this amendment has been made, then we will have the ability to come back to your board with a resolution to set the actual fees.
We can still, this allows us to also put the signs up where these areas are with the amount of dollars on them too?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so the vehicle code and California Vehicle Code requires that they be posted. No parking zones have to be posted once a resolution is passed, or excuse me, once it's adopted by the board and put into our county code. But we can put the signs up, and then we'll be able to reference the penalty fees under this code section once that's in place.
Okay, but we don't want to put the signs up until we come up with the dollar amount.
Yeah, I mean, we can wait to do that, or we can put the no parking signs. I mean, putting them in place just means that it's established no parking zone. If there's not a particular fee that's associated with it, then it just it reverts back to whatever the state would normally
Like to
charge.
have a fee associated with it so that when people park there, they know there won't be no $20 fine, and they just keep doing it. That's what they've been
Right.
doing all summer. We have it right on there. It's going to be a certain amount of money. And
Make it $100, it's a little more leverage.
I'd like to see it 150. That's what
There you go.
meeting that we had up there at Bass Lake with everybody. Forest Service clear down to.
150 is an incentive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tag along to that. Your county council and myself have started having discussions about establishing a master county fee schedule so that once the board adopts fees or fines, like in this case, that they're comfortable with, that they would, if the board approves, go into somewhat of an automatic escalation over time so that you don't have to come back and vote on every
Right.
fee each time they go up. So we will be bringing it back to you at some point. You can imagine it's pretty complex because of the number of fees we have. But at the point after this is adopted and you adopt a fine for this and you post it out there, the only thing you'll have to do is fix your sign when it goes up in increments.
That's a great idea, Jay. Thank
Yeah, especially with the
you.
escalating costs on it, the cost of living, so that,
Right, CPI.
like right now, I mean, that was 90s, I believe. Isn't that when that last ordinance was passed for the $20? 93 or something, somebody said, or 80, or
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's been
It's
some
a long
time.
time ago, and so, these people say, hey, I pay $50 a day down there parking in Fresno, well, $20 ain't gonna, I'm gonna park here
Yeah.
legally, I
Yeah.
don't care.
That's nothing, huh?
So, we gotta make it so it hurts our pocket, but,
Yeah.
because,
There you go. Okay, this is a hearing on this item. Is there any comment from the public?
I make a motion to waive the first reading and set the second reading for November the 10th.
Okay,
Second.
Motion made and second. Discussion, further discussion from the board. Not, let's vote.
Supervisor Wheeler,
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 6D.
Board of Directors, Special Districts, County Service Area Number 22, Zone E, Tesoro Viejo Public Works Department Administration Service Division. Consideration to adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of special tax bonds for the purpose of financing authorized facilities.
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
I'm over here. There were some minor edits to the preliminary operating statement. That's part of what you'll be approving with your resolution today. Staff doesn't have all the copies back down here. As soon as they have the copies down here, Chief Trieber has a list of what they were. They're mostly just housekeeping, cleanup, those kind of things. But I don't know if you want to set this item aside until you have the actual copies of that, and we can go on with the rest of the agenda, or do you want to
Yeah,
move forward with this one?
let's go ahead and finish out our agenda and see if we can get that down here before that happens. Do we have any pending legislation? Pending legislation. I have a letter in front of me that be considered.
That's right
That's
there.
under
That's 8A,
it's,
sir.
Yeah,
8A.
okay, yeah, there we go. I didn't see that. Okay, no pending legislation, then we'll move to item 8. Supervisors and staff reports. Max, anything to report? Bob?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is more of a question in regards to, I know that we'll be reporting our new status shortly, as far as our tier, shortly after lunch. I was wondering how shortly after lunch that's going to be. I know that the Fresno Bee announces Fresno at about 12:03, and I mentioned to our CAO that we don't have a local press, like the Fresno Bee or
Right.
Channel 30 that can immediately kick something out. And so basically you're looking at the local press in this
Exactly.
room. So I was hoping that we could get, I think last week the email came out at about 12:46. And I know that this sounds very picky and all that, but
I don't think so.
as an elected, I think that we are due that measure of information quickly and efficiently, and as soon as it comes out, because we have to answer to the electorate. I'm getting emails all the time from everybody wondering where we are, and I want that. I don't need it. Well, I guess I do need it, and I want it,
Right.
and I want it early after. I don't make too many demands, but this is one where I want public health to kick that information as soon as noon hits, 12:01, 12:02. I
Not
want
4
that
o'clock.
information.
Not at 4 o'clock.
Right.
I
Right.
agree 100% because I get hammered just like you do, because I know
Yeah.
the two of us, I've seen it on there that people are hammering both of us. You're behind. You don't know, keep up. What are you guys doing?
What are you doing? And I think that public health needs to recognize that we're there with them. I haven't felt that. Okay, I'm on a rant now, but I haven't really felt that kind of support from public health at this point. And I think that they need to recognize us as a board of supervisors, that we're on the front lines carrying the load with them, and we're getting the heat. So
Right.
they need to know that, and I want the response.
They don't get the heat like we get.
Right.
We get chewed out because we're not open. Fresno announces they're open. Why aren't we open?
Right.
Why aren't we open?
Right. And I want to
There
get
should
that.
be an explanation for that from our end. If we're not open, why that's happening.
Right.
and it should be readable and plausible in a public manner that they can disseminate it.
Right. And again, we don't have the advantage of having a local press coming out and kicking out to everybody. Again, we in this room are the local press. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. You explained our aspiration very well. Very good. I had my monthly RHA meeting online. Goes for about 4 hours. So that is quite a meeting when you're on the phone and you have to listen intently to hear every word, and it's difficult, but it's doable. Anyway, go ahead, Brett.
Tomorrow I have my coffee and conversation. It kicks off at 8:30 on Zoom. And then I also wanted to report, if you haven't yet, it's actually very fun to drive on Avenue 12 and go up and over the railroad tracks. That is now open. The first time I hit it, there was a freight train coming underneath, and I got to
Scared you.
no, I didn't. I didn't have to stop at it. I got to just go right up and over it. So that was. So if you haven't had a chance, it's kind of fun. Even the kids liked it. So, and then Avenue 7 is also open. I think that's it for
Very
me.
good. Thank you, sir. Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a town hall on the 29th, since we won't have no more meeting between now and then. It'll be from 6 to 8 on Zoom. And we're also Bobby and I are trying to set up a meeting before that, say like at 5, the victims of the fire that go out to some of the stuff, our staff and stuff can be able to help them maneuver through the mess that they got to do to rebuild, clean up, the hazardous waste stuff and all that. We're trying to get all that put together, so that would be very helpful for those victims.
Good.
I mean, if you guys drive up there sometime and we can go in there and see somehow those houses burnt, it's just totally amazing. Fires due to them. Just
Along with that, I'd like to make a comment and congratulate many of our people in the community who have really stepped up.
unbelievable.
I've had so many requests to be put on the Red Cross's community service part of that, where they can take refugees and what have you from fires, so that they're working with those people to improve them as evacuation locations. Really,
Yeah.
really remarkable how much people want to give and want.
It's unbelievable. Bob and I made almost every single briefing they had every day, Saturday, Sunday, and all, for the first month. Can't believe. I finally just assigned it all to Bob. I told everybody, I'm giving you his number. He figures it out, because so much items and money people were given. Red Cross and everybody else, they just threw their hands up and said, we can't take no more.
Wow.
And some of those rooms down at Minarets High School were so packed with food. I mean, anything you can think of, clothes and then cash. So
Great.
they just come out of the woodworks. And so I just want to thank everybody. And today it's kind of clean down here, but all the way down to Four Corners, I took a picture. The sun coming up, way up over the over the smoke this morning. It kind of had a bank right there at 41 and 145.
Wow.
Up there, it's just, you can't even see 100, 200 yards. It's still
We're
uglier than
grateful
heck.
for a little clearer air today.
Yeah. And when I went on vacation, went to Nevada, Ely, Nevada hunting, which is on the east side of Nevada. First 5 days I was there, it was just as smoky there as it was here. All that California, Oregon smoke right up those valleys. I thought I was getting out of it.
Yeah.
And, people give me a bad time about always preaching about wearing the mask, sanitizing, and staying 6 feet away. I mean, I've taken some really bad hits on Facebook and stuff. When I got to Ely, Nevada, I don't think I've seen 4 people in 2 weeks that didn't have their mask on. They took it serious. They don't have those colors like we have, the steps and stuff, but they got a lot of their stuff open. they take it serious. I never had one young, old, and in between there saying, you know, that's staying away from it. People got to stop and think what we got to do.
The creek fire is 60% contained now
60%.
and 350,000 acres burned.
Yep.
A lot of acres.
It's amazing.
I also wanted to, the mobile vote centers out in the ranches.
Oh, perfect.
So, and then the wastewater sewer facility picked on over Valley Children out in Gunner Ranch West
New one?
last Friday, so it's up and
The new
running
one?
now. Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah,
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. That's been a long time coming.
long time coming.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
That'll allow them to get into phase 2 for Valley Children's.
Valley Children's has been needing that for some. That ought to be really happy. Great. Okay, CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will pass along your concerns about the timeliness on the release of the information. Along those lines, you have a new version, should be at your positions, of the letter as part of 8A. It was modified slightly in the second to the last paragraph because after reviewing the numbers that will be released at noon today, we needed to word it slightly better. Those numbers, I'll just say, are favorable because I do respect the state's desire to keep these under their hat until noon, but I think we will see some good information at noon today. However, I strongly urge you to go ahead and send this letter because that doesn't mean that the adjustment factor that you're addressing in your letter won't rise up and slap us in the face next week and push us backwards again. So I appreciate you taking the time to consider forwarding this letter to the appropriate people at the state. And that concludes my report. Thank
I
you.
really appreciate the wording of the letter, Jay, and I appreciate what you've done there. Codifies my feelings exactly. I'll hear a motion on the letter.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely a well-written letter. Looking at the second page on the middle paragraph, it says, additionally, we believe that using county borders only and not a more studied regional approach is a severe disservice to those regions of our county which would be in the red, orange, or yellow tier viewed on their own merits. I'm thinking that we need to continue to push that particular issue because if we do drift back into the purple and it's because of the city of Madera, then these other areas are going to continue to suffer in those areas. And I think that we need to be ahead of the wave rather than, behind it or
Dragging our feet behind.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I think we need to continue to push that. And I don't know if that'd be in the form of a separate letter so we can emphasize that, but it's I can just, I hope it doesn't happen, but we have seen these waves and we don't know what's going to happen this winter. And the other areas of the county has suffered enough and they've complied enough to where they can be in some of these other tiers. So I don't see that issue going away, and I think it's something that we need to continue to push.
Yeah, the state acts like we're San Francisco, and we're not. We're not crammed together. We're regional.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very rural.
What affects one region of our county doesn't always affect the other.
Right.
And so it is a good thought. Go ahead.
I said, 100% behind you, Rob, on that. I think, if they can divide it up by counties, why can't they divide it up by regions in a county? I mean, we are so separately different, Valley here. We are up there, even the ranchos. I mean, they could take, if they wanted to, take your 60+ thousand people, make that a region and down area here, and then everything on the outside, make it a different one. I don't know. I think we ought to put that in this letter. Think that really, I think it would help our cause because they are dictating to rural areas where we could really, our economy, our tourist economy is big in Madera County.
Yeah.
Right.
We're suffering because of that. We don't have that economy coming in for the whole summer, but since the last 10 years, economy in the winter from tourists really growing because of our Business Bureau getting out there and advertising. There's more things to do than just summer up. really benefited Madera County.
Well, and it just kind of shows you, like I use the analogy of a battle last week. You know, you don't get your forces and attack areas where there's no opposition. You have all your forces and you go after that area where you've got the problem.
The most problem.
Where there's cancer treatment, you don't, you know, if there's
You don't radiate the whole body.
you don't radiate the whole body and go, oh, I think, you know, let's go to this foot. Well, no, the cancer is over here. Oh, well, but that's what we're doing. And it's illogical, it's inane.
We're trying to attack the whole cancer area.
Yeah.
We got spot.
Right. It makes no sense. And that way we could fortify our forces and focus on the area where we do have the issue. And that's but it's this other approach it just boggles the mind. I mean, it's so illogical. I mean, it's like they're treating us as children, like we don't know, where they're the ones that are just taking this approach that is just, I can't even fathom. Yeah.
It also leads to the rebellious attitude towards the state, because, and rightfully so, because people's lives are at stake here. They don't see the logic behind shutting everything down when there are no cases in certain areas. So I agree with Regent. Jay?
I just had a suggestion, Chairman. Since you're kind of dealing with two totally separate issues here, one that's immediate and one that has a longer term to it. The immediate one is the adjustment rate factor, and that's the one that historically has killed our numbers here. So I would suggest to the board, it's obviously up to you which direction you'd like to go. I would draft two separate letters. I would send this one, and then based on your direction, we can draft a letter to send either one of the 2 weeks when you're not in session, the 27th or the 3rd, or we can wait till the 10th when you're back in session. You may wish to wait till the 10th because by then we will have gone through enough weeks at the current rate to see if we're going to keep going down or if we're going to get stuck, and that may change the tone of the letter that you want to send as it regards to regionalization, not only for this, but as a consideration for the future. Should, you know, Lord willing, we won't, but should we go through this again, you want them to be considering a less county boundary type strategy and a more who interacts with whom kind of strategy throughout the state. So that's my suggestion to you, sir.
I don't think waiting, I don't know if is a good idea. Is there, County Council, is there any way that we can approve this letter and then, given this second to the last paragraph, give staff direction, understanding that we trust in our CAO to
Yes.
write something that is within this same tone for the chairman's signature?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll finish our discussion and I'll hear a amendment motion to that. Okay, Max?
Yeah, Supervisor Fortress is correct in his thinking about the virus numbers, you know, but, you know, the state and the nation is not accepting that argument up to now. What they're doing, they're taking the total numbers, and that reflects on the colors of the county, whatever. So our businesses are really, really suffering. All the restaurants are, you can believe it, you know, they're going broke. And they will go broke if this thing continues. So, but it's sort of dividing the people. The governor's trying to do what he can, but I think he's taking the wrong approach as far as the numbers. Where Tom is at, you know, the numbers up there are very low. Mariposa is very low. So that should be taken into consideration when they're assessing where the colors that we belong to. But we can certainly try and continue trying hard, but I don't think it's going to change their thinking.
If we don't attack it,
that's right.
Say, look, we're really discriminating against. Use that. I mean, we will never get there. And if we wait 2 weeks or 3, whatever is the 10th, I think we're losing. We're losing the ground. We need to tell them now. Say, look, start looking at this. This guys got to start dividing this up more. You guys don't get to just one shoe fits all.
But you get a county like Madera, we don't have any political pool really.
We don't.
Now Fresno does. Fresno is really, really pushing on this idea, you know, and they're getting better results.
Getting traction.
Yeah. Jay?
I'm sorry, I did not remember to add that there was great concern about the health equity measures when they came back. They have not had a negative effect on your county, and it's just reflective of the strategy that public health has had in reaching out to I'll just say the less wealthy communities and trying to get testing and quarantining and things out to them. That's why it's having zero effect on your numbers both last week and this week. So that's kudos to them.
Thank you.
I move that we approve this letter as it's written for the chairman's signature and staff direction using the second to the last paragraph to expound upon and write another letter with the same tone for the chairman's signature.
I'll second it.
Good. Motion made in second. Any question from the public, comments from the public?
Yes, Madeline Harris wishes to speak on this item. Go ahead, Madeline.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, good morning again, supervisors. This is Madeline Harris from Leadership Council again. So I reviewed the letter and just had a few questions I wanted to raise. But first I would say we'll continue to do what we can to work with public health to continue scheduling mobile testing for convenient and accessible times for folks in Lavinia and Fairmead, and we can continue helping with that outreach. And then with regards to the funding for testing, since I understand from the letter that's been a challenge, I admittedly have not seen the county's expenditure plan from CARES dollars, so I wanted to ask if any of the county's $16 million in CARES funding had gone towards funding testing, and if so, how much? And then my second question was I was wondering if the county can share how much of the $52 million in strike team funding for the Valley had gone towards increasing testing for Madera County, since we were advocating to the state for them to allocate additional funds towards that in Madera County. And then third, I just wanted to ask if there's any other plans in the works to expand testing access. And then lastly, would just say feel free to let us know if there's other ways that we can continue advocating for additional funding for testing. So thank you.
Good, Joel.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Begay, County Administrative Office. With regards to testing, just under 100,000 from specifically the 16 million have gone to testing and other pandemic response activities, but that is a misleading number because there are free resources that public health has utilized for testing, and there are testing resources that public health funded through their own funding. But that, with regards to the question, out of the 16 million, just under 100,000 have gone to testing so far, but that's not the complete expenditures the county has on testing.
A lot more.
In addition, over $1 million have gone to fund and reimburse public health expenses that have been incurred to date. And what that does is free up funding that the public health has utilized to date, which then they can redirect to other pandemic response activities such as testing and expanding their lab. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but between the two, there's over $1 million that have gone into specific public health pandemic responses to date.
And they've done a lot of outreach. Disadvantaged communities.
Correct.
And other language barriers.
I think it's also important to note that what we're trying to do with this letter and the other letter, as Supervisor Poitras put it, is if we're not, because right now we have to spend money on testing everywhere, even in the areas where there isn't as much or any, and instead of being able to target the areas that need the testing, we're having to spend those funds or send those tests or send those resources to areas that don't really need it versus where we really need to have it most, and actually spend that money and that time and effort in a much more wise manner to be able to attack it where it needs it. So, and we appreciate all of your help on that, and wherever you can put some pressure to say, we're spending all this money in areas that don't need it, and we need it here, that would be helpful.
Where local control would really serve a lot. Local control. And I think that has always been a better response to local control. Anyway, okay. Any further comment from the public or the board? Hearing none, let's vote.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Chairman Rogers?
Yes,
Motion to approve passes 5-0.
very good. We have received the documents from the bond sale. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Treber, Chief of Development Services. So this is a culmination of several years of work and involving previous actions in the way of the rate and method that's been adopted by this board, acquisition agreements for infrastructure out there. So with this, it is common. This preliminary official statement is going to change as the bonds are marketed and as the bonds are sold. So please don't take the amendment that came through this morning, approximately 3 a.m. from our bond underwriter as something completely unusual. It is a typical process that will transpire over the next week or days to weeks from the date of this action to the sales of the bonds. I will note, though, some of the amendments in the document that is before you that transpired and occurred. It does call out for from 12.3 million to 12.7 million in the increased valuation of the bond. There, it has a $14 million max bond that could be issued. That was identified. There's some language on page 13 that deals with pay-go and the developer's option to forego that pay-go. There's a change in term from acquisition facilities to acquisition agreements. That's what matches up the previous actions. And updates to table 13 as well. So as I said, there's a whole lot of work that's gone into this. This item before you, this will allow for the sales of CFD construction proceed bonds to pay back infrastructure improvements in the Tesoro Viejo. Of a very important note is these are not general fund obligated bonds. This does not impact whatsoever the county general fund. This is not involving that at any point in time. So with that, I'm going to take a step back and see if anybody has any questions.
Questions from the board? Any questions for the public on this item? None? Bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Made
Second?
and second. Let's vote.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yep.
Chairman Rogers?
Yes.
Motion to adopt passes 5-0.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just take one quick second to thank certainly Tracy Kennedy and her shop, Todd Miller through this aspect, Joel Bouguet and the complete admin team, and a big thanks to Dale Bacigalupi, Scott Ferguson with Jones Hall, and Jim Fabian with Fieldman Roll-Up as well. They have assisted us through this multi-year process. So big thank you to all of those folks.
Big deal. Bear County's going where no county goes. So it's great. Thank you. All right. Better than Star Trek, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's no other business to come before us, we will adjourn. Thank you. Go ahead.